Hello, today we're going to be making Christmas pudding. It's a lovely recipe. It's actually an American recipe that I've been making for about 20 years and everyone that eats it tends to love it. You get the occasional person that doesn't like Christmas pudding, but even when I've cooked it for them, they're converted. There's only the odd one that hasn't liked it. So I'm going to get straight into it and I'm going to start by putting some prunes in there. Prunes are absolutely lovely. Just make sure you get the ones without stones because you know why, don't want to get the stones in the way. So I'm just going to chop them up. You can chop them up by knife. I'm just going to scissor them straight in the dish. Ideally, you make this in October, Christmas pudding. It's November now, but it's okay. I've made it 2 weeks before and I've done it for cookery demos and we've cooked it straight away for 2 hours and it's been absolutely fine. I don't think you'd necessarily know the difference unless you made one in October and one in December and tasted them together on Christmas Day. Very unlikely. This makes a kilo of mix, so it's enough for about 6 to 8 people. And it cooks in about 2 hours. I'm going to cook it in a steamer today. And if you haven't got a steamer at home, don't worry. I'm going to show you in a minute, well, maybe not a minute, maybe a little bit more than a minute, how to do it without a steamer, how to make your own steamer with a saucepan. So I'm just going to whack the prunes in, as I say. So I use about 100 grams of each of all these fruits. And if you don't like certain things like sultanas and raisins, you can replace them. If you want to put things like apricots in there, you could do that. Figs, dates, all good, whatever you fancy. You can always make it your own. You don't have to necessarily follow recipes. So that's the prunes. I've also got some currants. I'm going to put 150 currants in there. But so if you didn't want that much, you don't have to put that in. I've got 100 grams of sultanas and 100 grams of raisins as well. So I'm going to shove that in. Now, ideally, what we'd do with this is we would soak it overnight. That would be a good thing to do as well, but you don't have to. And I'm going to soak it in beer. I sometimes use Guinness, but sometimes I've just got a local ale as well. So I'm going to shove that in. But if you didn't want to use beer or ale, or if you didn't want to use alcohol at all, you don't have to. You could put something like apple juice in there, would be absolutely fine. Can't open this now. Shove it open. There you go. And I'm going to use 100 ml, so it's not that much. And alternatively, you could use something like a brandy or a cognac or even a rum if you wanted to. I'm just going to guess this. That's over 100 ml, I know, but that's okay. We don't mind. Put that there for the cameraman, Matt. Get some extra flavour in this. We're going to use some lemon zest. So I'm just going to take some lemon off with a peeler and then I'm going to chop it. Alternatively, you can just zest it or you can just grate it straight in, that's fine. I quite like it like this because you get a little bit more of the zestiness in there, a little bit more extra lemon flavour through it. And again, if you didn't like lemon, you could use orange. I've sometimes made this with orange as well. In fact, I made one the other day, actually for Christmas Day, and I had some Prosecco, some local Norfolk Prosecco in the fridge. And I had some limoncello that I wanted to use up. So I used orange zest, limoncello, and Prosecco in there. Don't know what it's going to taste like yet. I'll find out on Christmas Day. Luckily, I've got this one as well. So if that's no good, I'll know not to use Prosecco again or sparkling wine in Christmas pudding. So give it a good old chop chop. Don't like big old pieces as well. You know when you use those zesters and they're quite big chunks, and every now and then you get a big chunk of lemon. Don't like that so much, so I'm just going to chop it really, really small. And with the 2 hours of cooking, it will break down loads and you won't even taste it in there. Well, you'll taste it in there, but you won't get big chunks of it in your mouth. You can use dried peel in this as well. I personally don't like dried peel. I don't mind it. I won't spit it out, but I don't really like it that much. You can also use glacé cherries as well. They're good. Cinnamon. I always make my own cinnamon. I get the cinnamon bark or cassia bark, and I just grind it myself. So I'm going to put some of that in there. All of that, and I'm also going to use some nutmeg as well. So I've got half a teaspoon of cinnamon and half a teaspoon of nutmeg. It's my grater. So again, you can buy grated nutmeg, but I just buy the actual whole nutmegs, and the mace is sometimes around the outside. That's good to keep for other stuff. Don't see many recipes with mace anymore. So I'm just going to grate that straight in. So the only spices I actually use are cinnamon and nutmeg. That's it. And you've got your flavour from the lemon. You've got your beer infusing in there, or your Guinness. stout, it all works. I've even made it with cider actually. Good old nutmeg. Oh, it smells divine. There we go. That's it. Got that, got that. So as I say, ideally we'd marinate this overnight. Where's my wooden spoon? But we're going to go Blue Peter style. Whack it all in together. As you can imagine, if you marinate that overnight, all the lovely currants and the raisins and the sultanas and the lemon, all the spices, all marinate together and just make it a little bit more unctuous. So, I'm going to put everything else in now. So I've got some dark brown sugar. If you haven't got dark brown sugar, just use light brown sugar. You could use demerara as well, but it's nice because it's got a slight molassesness to it. Really rich, really dark, really unctuous. Lovely. Just going to mix that in there. So there's 100 grams of that as well. As you can see, all the measurements are just here. And then I'm going to use some suet. Now, I've used beef suet, but you can use veggie suet as well. The only thing with veggie suet is not gluten-free, just in case ever you want to do a gluten-free one, because you can use gluten-free breadcrumbs, but I noticed that vegetarian suet has wheat in it. So you can't use it as a gluten-free substance. So I got that through there. Going to use some flour. I'm not even going to sieve it, I'm just going to whack it in. Why bother? It's perfectly fine. Mix that up. And then I'm just going to throw my breadcrumbs. Now I just literally got some cheap bread, cheap sliced breads for the supermarket, and just put it through the processor, but you can buy natural crumbs as well. And that's 60 grams of that going in. And that's it. The good thing about breadcrumbs as well, if you make your own, you can put it in the freezer and you can shake them straight out of the freezer, straight into anything that you want to make. And breaded stuff just tastes so good. Kiefs and breaded goujons and breaded fish, breaded vegetables. Or you can make crusts for fish and stuff. So if you've always got them in the fridge. So you can see all that lovely beer has been soaked through there and it's all come together really, really lovely. Now it looks quite light at the moment, but it will darken up. With 2 hours of cooking, it darkens up, and then you leave it until Christmas. And when you get it out on Christmas Day, all you have to do is just whack it in the microwave for 2 minutes. That's absolutely it. That's all you need. And I've just got 1 egg just to bind it all together. Now, if you were making one without egg, use xanthia gum. Half a teaspoon of xanthia gum, and then you've got dairy-free. So loads of different alternatives. Just make it your own. That's it. That's all it is to a Christmas pudding. So you can. This is a real luxury as one as well. If you get the cheaper ones in the supermarkets, they tend to not have much fruit in it. Where you can see that's just jam packed with fruit. So it's really rich, really unctuous. It smells divine with all those spices in there as well, and that beer. So that's just dead easy. That's it. 10 minutes. I mean, I did weigh everything out before, which only took about 5 minutes. 10 minutes making it. So 15 minutes. Got your own Christmas pudding. Want a Christmas pudding bowl like this? I'm just going to line it with cling film. Break some off, put it in like that. Just line it, that's just going to protect it. And we can fold all that over in a minute. Push that down, and then I'm just going to pour it in. Just make sure the cling film doesn't end it inside the pudding. Make sure that stays on the outside. Up it up a little bit. Just pack that through. Look at that. It smells good. Does it smell good, Matt?
It does smell good from over here.
Smell-o-vision. Feature of videoing. That's away. Just push it down. Again, what I tend to do, if you were going to make this ideally, you'd make it in October, but as I said, absolutely no problem not to. You'd soak the fruit overnight, don't need to, but you're going to get a little bit extra flavour out of it. And another thing that you can do is make this and leave this in the fridge overnight as well. Again, extra flavour, but no need. And with that extra cling film, we can just push that over Just push it down a little bit, make sure it's all compact so you haven't got big air pockets in it. Health and safety, you can't put 10p's in it anymore. Break your teeth. And then we're going to make a tinfoil top. What we're going to do with this is we're going to fold it over and then fold it again. So you kind of make a little envelope in there, put it over, wrap it. And that's it. You can, if you want to, put elastic band around it or string around it. I know that'll hold, so that's fine, but you can do if you want to. And just that little bit of help will just aerate it so it doesn't pop open and break open and keeps nice and sealed. The main thing is when we're steaming it, we don't want water to go into it because it's going to make it really, really soggy. So put it in a steamer, half fill with water, put it on 2 hours on a gentle simmer. Just make sure that you check that water every now and then because it will boil down and start burning. So we don't want to do that. Now we're just going to show you a quick thing. If ever you haven't got a steamer and you want to make Christmas pudding because you know how easy it is to make now, you get a saucepan like that. What you can do, maybe a bigger saucepan than this, is you put something like a bowl in there, like that, and then you half fill it with water because the important thing is that your bowl isn't sitting on any water. And then you put that on there like that, and then you just put your lid on, assuming the saucepan's obviously slightly bigger. And that's it. And then just make sure you check it. When you do it like that though, it doesn't seal off quite as well, so you just have to keep making sure every half an hour you just put some more water in it. And that's it. Job done. Enjoy your Christmas pudding.